So we'll start off just with a few introductions. I'm David Harrow. It's my great privilege to be the headmaster of AKS, and I'm joined by Faye Marland, who's the assistant head in charge of staff and student development, and Alan McEwen, who's the deputy head. Now, Faye, you may not remember this, but when we first met, I remember the moment, and you came to my office. It was towards the end of the summer holidays when I was just about to start. And then you came in talking very excitedly about Round Square and about character education. And I was absolutely delighted. I think you came in to meet the new head, worried about whether I'd be keen on that sort of thing. As it turns out, it's the reason I wanted to come to the school in the first place. My children are here, and it's exactly what I wanted for them going forward. But I suppose it's not a given, because this is a school where you get great results and could just do that, and it'd be fine, I think. So why do you think it's so important that we have this focus on character education?
I just think it's about discovering more in every individual, because actually if they look within themselves, there's so much more that they can achieve. And as AKS, we provide opportunity after opportunity for them to look within themselves and to discover that. I think the true passion is, in me, it comes from the fact that I've been able to see individuals grow and blossom into these wonderful individuals that can stand on stage and speak most eloquently about the thing that they're most passionate about, and usually that falls into something about service or adventure, about stepping out of their comfort zone or any of those things. And for me, it's not just about one individual, it's about all individuals within our school having the opportunity to be able to seek just that little bit more within them, to understand fully that they can push themselves and achieve anything they want to. And I think that's a great message to send our students on their way as they leave our school as well.
And it's a big part of our life here in the school. It's something which I think is very important, which I think we all do. You probably see more of it in your role than anyone else. What does it look like at AKS? What are the special features?
For me, it's not something that I can just give you a list of things. It's actually the fact that it's just about being. It's not about doing, it's about being, and that's what we constantly say. I think it's all about hearts and minds, and I think sometimes it's very difficult to be able to talk through character education, to measure character education. It's quite hard. But when you see it, and I think as soon as you walk into the doors of AKS, you feel that, and you can see the individuals that, whether that be an individual that greets you, it's within their very being, and I think it's totally within our DNA as a school.
And it's something which I'm very proud of. And when I do tours around the school, one of the places I always pause is in front of the Bring Me Sunshine display, which it's not the greatest piece of graphic design, and that's not really the point of it. But it's what it represents about people wanting to do something for their community and to give back to it. And I don't know if you want to talk a bit about Bring Me Sunshine and that kind of endeavour.
Yeah, so around 5 years ago, I think our school has always had an element of character education to it. And I think 5 years ago, when we became a candidate member for Round Square, we were tasked to go to Eglon in Switzerland and to see a Round Square conference for the first time. Now, previously we'd spoke to people who had been involved with Round Square, and you could see within their eyes and the way that they spoke about Round Square, the passion that they had for it. It was only going and actually seeing that for ourselves that we actually came back as the biggest advocates, because you were with like-minded people who totally understood the power of character education. So when we went, and we took with us a couple of students with us, and both which on the way back were tasked, they were given £500 by Round Square, and they were actually told to come up with a community project. And I always remember walking up some mountain somewhere as Molly and Sadie spoke to us about their idea. And the fact that we are in Lytham St Anne's, and the fact that for every teenager there are 3 elderly people within our area. And it suffers a great deal from loneliness, with those individuals not being able to do the things that they once were able to, because of obviously the fact that they're not able to get out as much or about as much. So they came up with this amazing plan to bring sunshine and bring smiles to the local community and the elderly. They found a wonderful lady called Bev who and married up with her to who's in charge of Just Good Friends within the local area, and together they just produced something absolutely amazing. It was called Bring Me Sunshine. It still is called Bring Me Sunshine after 5 years, and still running, and continues to bring smiles to the local community and the elderly by creating events and simple things. Just bring, we had this wonderful afternoon where we invited lots of people into school to tell their stories, and they literally met with our students and the elderly came in, and they spoke together, and they came up with these wonderful stories all about advice that they would give and what they wished that had happened to them, and how, if they were living in the world now, how different things were, and that the sun actually that is down the corridor is actually all of the things that they wrote down, and we stuck it into a big display to ensure that was a constant thing that we constantly thought about as we walk down the corridor. We constantly think about the service that we want to provide for the local community, because it's very special, the school being in this area and doing things for the school and for the community.
And the thing which I like about that is that it was a student initiative rather than a school project or something like that, and the fact that it's self-sustaining.
Yes.
And it's made a big difference. And you said at the start that we don't have a big list of what character education is. I'm not sure anyone has a really good list, but you know it when you see it. And what I like about that is you know it when you see it. Now I'm a relative newcomer. I've only been here a couple of years. Alan, you're not so much a newcomer, having been at AKS for a while and formerly at Arnold. And you've seen the difference, I think, over time. What is it about character education here that has struck you over the years?
Yeah, it's been, obviously, I think Faye's absolutely right that the school has always embodied an element of character education, but I think as time has gone on and we're more and more aware of the changing and evolving world that our pupils are moving into, that those characteristics are so key for them in the future. And with that, I think we've honed different skills in our curriculum to an extent to make sure that our young people are best prepared for that ever-changing world. And one example of that would be the Learning to Learn programme that we've introduced in year 7, and it's in its 4th year now. And as much as that programme was about getting our young people to think differently, think critically, think creatively, it was all about helping them build up particular characteristics as well. How can you solve problems, and how can you solve them in a different way? What happens when you fail? Are you tenacious? Can you get over that? Can you communicate with your peers? Can you communicate with staff? All those various characteristics we really try to include and embody into the Learning to Learn course, so that, of course, the character education that they receive at AKS is throughout the whole school, but also, from my point of view, in terms of the academic outcomes of the school as well, it all goes together in one package, so that academic outcome is enhanced by the character education that the pupils receive here. So that it's a really overarching, holistic education that they receive, and they go out of the school best prepared for that ever-evolving world.
And I think it's very important for me anyway that we are helping our young people to be global citizens, and to go off to university or wherever it is, to go off into the world of work and actually feel well prepared and to feel confident. I think the worst thing we can do actually is to get them some decent results, shove them through the door, and hope for the best. I think you do have to develop all of these characteristics. Now, we don't like to stand still as a school. There are more things that we want to do in this direction. It's something which is never finished, and I know Faye, you feel quite strongly about the sort of things we ought to be doing and the things that are coming into the future. So what's on your mind?
Well, we've last year we launched an award. So it was something that I've wanted to work on for a very long time, and I, looking at the Learning to Learn programme and thinking about all of those opportunities that were being discovered both in the Learning to Learn programme, curricula and co-curricular. I decided to just think about how we could show what our students were doing. So this is part of their everyday. So I wanted to ensure that they had an opportunity to reflect on all of the things that they do at AKS and marry up then the discoveries that they were using, they were developing, they were reflecting on. So I brought in a number of Year 7 students, and we had a student focus group, and we sat down and we looked at the kind of things that they'd been doing that term, and we started to draw up an award where individuals had to self-reflect on their own practices and then find examples throughout the school year that they have been tenacious and have used teamwork, where have they been great communicators, where have they had a sense of responsibility. And something that was very interesting was, as we broke that open, the amount of opportunities that we give our students is phenomenal. So actually just getting them to understand that when they were a tour guide for the open day, for instance, they had a sense of responsibility. They had to then speak, they had to understand how that formal greeting, how to come towards someone they didn't know, have a formal greeting, understand that, the rapport that then they wanted to have throughout the journey that they were taking the prospective student on. And take them through the school and talk to them about all of the stories that they can tell and the reasons why we have these things in school. There was no one holding their hand, there was no one taking them, or there was no script. So they had to do that themselves, and that took a lot of courage. So, you know, we look at these moments, we unpack them, we think about them, and we reflect on how actually they went about doing those things, but also how they can better themselves if they had that chance to do that again. So the awarding Year 7 looks at 6 discoveries, and they have to generate a poster. And it talks about up the 6 discoveries that they've looked at that year. They submitted that last year, and we had nearly almost all of the Year 7s pass that award because they were so excited to talk about the things that they had done and put that into that poster. What we have now is we have a number of Year 7s who passed that last year in Year 8. They have now, they've got their own award to reflect on this year, but they've also just become mentors for the Year 7s. And what's happened is we've got 3 leaders in year 8, we've got 12 mentors, and they have been trained by those leaders. I've trained the leaders have trained the mentors, and now they are getting the posters in themselves, they're looking at them, they're seeing if they believe that they have passed this award through the criteria. And it was all through a Teams call the last week, and I just sat back. I had no role to play because the leaders were doing such a wonderful job training the mentors. And they were all in breakout rooms, and they were all it was just amazing. It was electric, and going into each breakout room to see the responsibility that each Year 8 had, because they've asked for that responsibility, they've asked to step up, they invested in the award, they wanted to be a leader, so therefore they are leading the way there, with the mentors then helping out, and then all of the Year 7s will submit the work to the Year 8s, they will look at it, they will pass it, and then with me will then credit that award. And this is a 3-year award in Year 7, 8 and 9, looking at different skills as we go across, building character at every stage, and having something to wear on their badge with pride, a badge on their blazer with pride, to say that they've done what they wanted to do, but they've done it with so much passion and so much, it's all about hearts and minds, and I think it's you can see when our students talk about that award or their role and responsibility in that award that they just shine. You can see it in their eyes, and it's something very, very special.
And there's 2 things about that strike me. I mean, one of them is it's something that schools will often talk about, but that's action on the rhetoric, and I think it's brilliant to see something tangible. We shouldn't assume that these things simply just happen all the time, because they don't happen all the time unless you go out of your way to do it. The other thing that strikes me is the extent to which the students go ahead and do it for themselves. So again, we can't list exactly what the things are, exactly what the qualities are, but we see them. We see the students doing the things for themselves.
It's about being an AKS student, isn't it, and reflecting on that, and just understanding the power that they've got, that they can articulate that so well, and that's the difference. I think they're in Year 7 and they can articulate when they had a moment of sense of responsibility and why that was important, what they're going to do to improve themselves next time, and then they go searching for that again. Where can I find another sense of responsibility? What can I do? Can I join the student council? I've got an idea about this. Can we go ahead with a student group and push that forward? Of course, let's do that together. And that's the kind of, it's not one thing that fits all. It's something, if someone has got passion and they want to push that forward, then that is what we will ensure will happen. And it never comes from me. It's not usually an idea that I have and say, right, this is what we're going to do today. It's very much, Miss, we're really interested in this, or we think this is really powerful, can you help us with this? Or there's a cause here that we're really interested in and we want to make sure that we can help them. It's that's the most powerful thing, I think.
And I think we are, I've spoken many times, this is a lovely place to live. It is planet filed, and it's tempting to stay in FY8 and have a lovely time.
Yes.
But you don't have to go very far. You go out to the beach. I can look south and you can see the mountains in Wales 60 miles away without any difficulty. And you can see the rest of the world very easily nowadays online and elsewhere. It is important that people are global citizens and are prepared for that, which is why I think being part of a much bigger organisation is so very important. And Alan, you will have seen, for example, the students who've been away on the international conferences, you'll have seen the impact on those. I mean, how do you... Yeah. What are the changes you've seen in students over the years?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that's a really good place to start. Is those Year 12 students who've come back into school after being at an international conference, the energy that they bring with them, and the ideas, the passion that they've brought back into school is phenomenal. And they've driven on, as Faye's already explained, many of their own projects within the school. But it's the fact that the character education that we have here, and especially in those young people who've experienced those conferences, it permeates throughout the school. And that's really what gives the school its sense of values. And I think that's absolutely key, and it's become part of the culture and the ethos of the school. And we often say sometimes it's difficult to see, but it's tangible. You can feel it. You can feel it on the sports pitch, you can feel it on the stage, you can feel it in the classrooms. And I think that's what really makes this school so special. But those young people who've had the opportunities to go on those conferences, those are life-changing opportunities. And they will have made friends and be able to collaborate with those young people from now on. And I know many are still in touch, in different continents of the world. It's an outlook that not many schools really get the opportunity to have. And I think we're very, very fortunate to have that. And it's something really quite unique about the school and having that international outlook, no doubt.
And we think about the pillars within Round Square, the ideals, the internationalism, democracy, environmentalism, adventure, leadership and service. And you wonder about which of those is the most important. Well, I suppose they're all important. Yeah. The one that often comes back to me is the idea of adventure. The idea of someone doing something which is for them a bit risky, for them a bit dangerous, and that will manifest very differently. For some people it is a literal adventure. So if it might be going to India, it might be going to Delhi on the conference. For some people it's standing up on stage. For some people it's doing a maths exam. For some people it's representing the school in a sport. For some people it is taking a grade 1 piano exam. All of those things are incredible adventures. And I think those experiences are the things that build your character along the way. And if you don't have all of those extra things, you won't have the opportunity to take those risks. The world is a risky place, and you have to be prepared to do that. Now, I suppose we feel that sense of risk as well. We like to take some risks, and we like to be adventurous as a school and as educators and as part of this community. And we've been over to the Round Square Conference. Obviously now we're in a position where we want to host people as part of the Round Square Conference, which is something you'll be very excited about. How do you see that?
Yeah, very excited indeed. We literally have been given the opportunity to be able to host the 2022 conference as part of 5 schools within the UK to be able to do that. And the conference starts in Oxford and then moves to with over 300 delegates coming to AKS. For me, it's probably a dream come true to be able to go to all of the other conferences and be able to see for yourself. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And sometimes, and Alan just spoke about it then, it's just a small number that are able to go off and go out there. But when they come back, they do make a very big impression within their year groups and try and spread that. What's brilliant about the conference is the fact that as an AKS community, we will live that for the 4 days that they are here. And I don't think there's any doubt that any member of staff or any student within our school will be able to understand the true power that AKS will bring, Round Square will bring at that time, and character education, because obviously it it's here. It's going. We're all going to have a part in that and a part to play. The big thing for me is, and we spoke about it before, with students taking charge and students pushing forward. The conference will be all about that. We will obviously have a team of teachers that will help along the way, but actually it's the students that will relate to the students from all over the world and ensure that they are bringing the conference to them. So I think it's all about leadership positions and understanding that, and understanding about the key toolbox, I think, to understanding leadership and understanding that we have got a wonderful opportunity now to be able to work towards something, and this, amazing project where, so many students can get involved. Baraza groups, for instance, where they lead sessions, that they chair the session with other students. Those skills are, wonderful skills to have, and to be able to practice that on the run up to the conference and then show that to delegates from around the world. I just think is an opportunity that we don't get very often.
No, and I think you touched really on, I suppose it's where we started really, which is what is the key to all this? Why would you bother with this sort of thing? We have a lovely community here of 650 odd students, 100 odd staff, a load of parents and some alumni, and then you go out into the world and there's 7.5 billion people, and it's a very challenging world. It's volatile, it's uncertain, we don't know what's going to happen, a very risky environment. You need that character, you need those qualities. And the world, it's not just something that happens to you. The future is not just a place you visit and it occurs around you. It is something which you can influence. You can make that difference, but you can only make that difference, I think, if you focus on your character and your ability to lead and your ability to make a difference. So for me, I think it's the most fundamental thing. The worst thing we could do is just get people some good results. They're not prepared for a scary world. So I think this is absolutely essential.